Our guy PFT Commenter joins us on the phone from Chi-Town. PFT, what up, man? Happy New Year.
Good morning, guys. Happy New Year. I saw that you got some gumbo in the studio. You're very, very lucky.
Yeah.
I cannot wait for New Orleans and cannot wait to eat all the gumbo. I'm planning on eating. I'm going to try to eat gumbo twice a day for the entire time there.
Well, you're a soup guy, so that's perfect for you.
I'm a soup guy, and then you can get in some fights if you start calling gumbo soup around the wrong people. I don't know.
I'm not saying that, but I know you like liquid lunch.
No, but you're right. You're right. And I actually think if I put my mind to it, I can have 20 gumbos while I'm in New Orleans just for the Super Bowl. So that's my goal.
Go for it, man. And you can eat different gumbos. You get you a chicken and sausage gumbo, a duck and sausage gumbo. You get a seafood gumbo. Just a chicken plain one, okra.
Duck gumbo is solid. You know, I mean, some duck gumbo that would hit the spot. Some shrimp gumbo. I'm going to eat every single gumbo. I'm going to be 90% gumbo by the time I'm done.
I like it. Well, since BMitch just made this, it is hot, it is fresh, it's very good. Would you like me to mail you some?
Oh Lord.
No, that's okay, JP. JP and I have a history of mailing food.
So, I know you had those soggy sandwiches from the Masters.
I asked him to send me a pimento cheese sandwich in the mail one time, and JP, like the great guy that he is, actually did go to FedEx and put a cheese sandwich in the mail for me. Shockingly, it didn't keep, but it's okay. I had Nate there next to me, so I let Nate taste it.
Oh boy,
Nate didn't taste anything.
Talking with our friend PFT Commenter here, dude. I almost texted you this, and then I realized you were on the show today. Is your band playing Super Bowl week in New Orleans?
I don't think that we are. We don't have any plans for it right now.
Okay.
It could all change. That's all subject to change, and we're working through a few things. But no, I don't think as of right now, I plan on attending concerts while I'm in New Orleans.
Okay. All right. Very cool. Let's talk some football, dude. Commanders firmly in the playoffs, have a game this weekend against Dallas. Dan Quinn's been clear. He wants them locked and loaded on Dallas. The seeding matters. There's a lot to play for. They've already lost to Dallas this year. What do you want to see Washington versus the Cowboys?
All right. So I would like a win because, and if you're an Eagles fan, listen to this right now. Don't change the channel, but just turn the volume all the way down. If you're an Eagles fan, you're contractually obligated to me. It's a two-party consent. So I'm not giving you consent to listen to me right now if you're an Eagles fan. I would very much not like to play against the Eagles in the playoffs. So what I would like to see is a win, and then I would like to see a couple other things go our way. I've mapped out – I'm sure you've looked at the schedule for the playoffs and how things could shake out. But there is a world – however remote it might be, that we could have an NFC Championship game at I almost said the F word, FedEx, at the Fed. It's a possibility. It's very remote, but I think our ideal path would be to play maybe the Bucks the first round and then see how the rest of it shakes out from there. It's still a very, very good chance of that happening. So I'd like to see a win against the Cowboys. Obviously like to see a win. It would just mean a lot to, be 4-2 in the division. Looks a lot better than 3-3. And I think I would like to see, obviously, no injuries. And I would like to see some of the younger guys, some of the draft picks. I want to see a big game from Newton. How about that? I'd like to see him just wreck some shop in the middle of the field.
It's interesting to me. I've been thinking back to 2015. That was the You Like That year where Kirk had that comeback against Tampa, and then they kind of got hot down the stretch. They won the division. They weren't as good. They only went 9-7 that year, but they won the division in Week 16 in Philly on day after Christmas, I think, and then went to Dallas for Week 17. And I actually think Gruden handled that Week 17 pretty well. They had already clinched the playoffs. They were already in as the division winner, but he started everybody, and Kirk came out on fire. I think Jordan Reed had 2 touchdowns early on, and then eventually he got to Colt and kind of let those guys sit. But I don't see a scenario where every starter, unless you're hurt, right? Like Lattimore, you no way are you playing him this week because you need him for the wild card. You're hoping you can get him for the wild card. If guys have an injury, fine, rest them, but don't just rest to rest, right?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this is a game where it does matter if we win. Like you would much you would much rather play against the Bucs or the Rams than to go into Philadelphia. That's going to be a very tough environment. They're a very good team. I'm assuming that Hurts is going to be back by then. That's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, you want to win this game. It's not a meaningless game. So also, like, can you imagine in what world have we ever imagined the Commanders being 12-5 or 12-4, like 12 wins? That's a great season. And it's kind of crazy because of all the people complaining about, the playoffs being watered down. There would be a chance that a 12-win team would get left out of this playoffs.
That's crazy.
If we only had 6 teams in it. So yeah, I mean, I want to see 12 wins. I think that, obviously exceeds everybody's expectation. Probably good to get a little momentum going into the playoffs too. So yeah, I would like to win this game.
I can understand people saying they would not like to play with the Eagles, this, that, and the other. But I just feel if this team is playing at their best, they can beat the Eagles and any other team out there. I just look at it differently because eventually, if you're going to get to where you want to go, you got to beat that team anyway.
Yeah, you're going to play good teams in the playoffs.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the reality of it. So it's a matter of when you play them. But I think as far as a matchup goes, I feel like the Bucs would be, the best option that we had. And then that's the last time we won a playoff game was in Tampa. So maybe little shades of 2006. Obviously you can't plan everything out perfectly, and crazy stuff is going to happen. You don't know how the games are going to shake out. But I feel like the NFL would put that game, a Philadelphia-Washington opening round matchup, that to me seems like that is screaming prime time. And going into Philly at night, that's going to be a tough environment.
Yeah, I'm curious how you rank them. I think the matchup I want to see most is Tampa. And I think Jaden opened the NFL season in Tampa against the Bucs. And I think this team and Jaden Daniels have improved so dramatically. I would just love to see that rematch. And that's not to say Baker's what Tampa's doing right now is really good. I think Vita Vea is unbelievably good. Evans, like, they got serious talent down there. I don't understand. I'm curious what you think, dude. Why is McVay resting everybody? Like, it almost seems like McVay is actively seeking out the winner of Lions-Vikings instead of playing Washington. B thinks he's scared of Jaden.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea why he's doing that, but I'll tell you this.
He's crazy is why.
He's a little nuts. I would rather, the Bucs that's the team I would like to play the most. I put the Rams second. I'm not necessarily afraid of Matt Stafford right now. He hasn't looked good in this last month or so of the season. But I am afraid of what McVay will cook up in the playoffs. Like, if he, focuses on one game, I feel like this is a dangerous guy. Like, he's liable to pull some crazy stuff on us that we will not see coming. And so I'm a little bit afraid of going up against him in the playoffs. But if it's the Rams, I would rather go against the Rams than the Eagles at this point. With the Bucs, it's interesting because you talked about Lattimore. Getting Lattimore back to that game would be absolutely massive because he's generally played very well against Mike Evans, who's a great player, one of the best receivers of all time. But Lattimore has been as good as anybody else.
He gives him pure hell
against Mike Evans. So that would be huge for us. And we got a guy at the office here, Stephen Shea. He's a big Bucs fan.
Right.
That's my biggest concern about playing the Bucs is having to sit next to Stephen Shea for 2.5 hours while he does little first down signs in my face.
You work with a bunch of people that you don't like their teams, right?
Yeah, well, I don't like anybody's team, BMitch. I don't. I enjoy when I think it's a pretty natural thing. You kind of enjoy it when your friends go through pain a little bit.
Yeah.
You like to see them suffer a little bit.
Yeah.
Ultimately, there's some teams where I like their fan bases. The Bucs, I guess, are one of them, with the exception of Stephen Shea. When he gets into Bucs mode, he is insufferable to be around. It is absolute torture. So I wouldn't be looking forward to that, but it's a small price to pay to get to avoid the Eagles in the first round.
Dude, it's funny. I kind of have no beef with the entire NFC South. Saints, Panthers, Falcons, Bucks, they're cool. The fans are always nice. Like, the stadiums are okay. Yeah. They're nice cities. But obviously that changes this week. B, I don't know if you know this, one of the dudes on PFT's podcast, pardon my take for all those that are somehow unaware of that, is a huge Eagles fan.
Uh-huh.
And the videos from 2 weeks ago of PFT and Max are pretty epic because he immediately just started screaming like all these Eagles fans, "Oh, congratulations, you beat Kenny Pickett."
Yeah, but they got to realize they've been beating backup quarterbacks for the last 15 years when it comes to this team.
Right.
What the hell are they talking about?
Right.
Yeah, listen, a win is a win. And Max doesn't have a great track record in the playoffs in terms of the teams that he roots for. But this would be an opening round game in the playoffs. And typically Philadelphia has done pretty good in those. So I would prefer to wait until the NFC Championship game to play against the Eagles, because Philly's got a recent history of not doing so well in those types of games.
Yeah, for sure. Talking with our friend PFT Commenter here on the Friday before Week 18. It's going to be fun and exciting, and I think regardless what happens this weekend, next weekend, how much different does everything feel for you as a Commanders fan? Like the world has been flipped upside down for people that root for the burgundy and gold in a good way.
Yeah.
It feels great, but with those expectations, now you have the room for disappointment. Whereas like disappointment was kind of the norm. It was so regular to be disappointed that it didn't actually feel like disappointment. It just felt like same old, like going through it again. Now at this point, it's like, okay, well, there's a little bit of pressure on you. I actually woke up this morning. The first thing I saw, I don't know how it was on my timeline, but it was the graphic of all the quarterbacks that have thrown touchdown passes to Terry McLaurin through his career.
Wow.
And it just like looking at those names just brought me back to a very, very dark place. But it makes me thankful that hopefully this is, the start of a very long, new, good era. And yeah, I sometimes have to pinch myself, because it's like, what planet are all these good things happening to us right now? But but I think it's real. I think it's real. I think it's sustainable too. So yeah, listen, if we beat the Cowboys, getting a playoff win this year would be just unreal. I don't think that we necessarily have the team that can do something like go into Detroit and beat the Lions. I mean, crazy things happen in the NFL, but I don't know that our defense is quite on that level yet to be able to stop like a team like the Lions. But I think just going to the playoffs, winning a playoff game would be just so unbelievable for this season. But then, once you're in, crazy things happen in the playoffs.
Mm.
You never know. The schedule might break your way. There might be some bad injury luck or something, things that we don't even anticipate happening, where things work out in your favor. Maybe the defense just puts it all together. We get some good bounces, some important turnovers. Anything can happen. But I think if we get – my goal right now is get a playoff win. If we get a playoff win, then that's – as far as I'm concerned, this is a massive, massive success of the season.
Dude, they haven't won a playoff game since 2005. It was the 05 season.
Long time ago.
Bro, it's almost 20 years. It's 20 years. What year is it? 2025?
But my thing is, if you look at the big picture, though, PFT, beginning of the season, they said this team who's rebuilding, new front office, new coaching staff, new quarterback, all these players coming in, was going to be sitting at 11-5, possibly 12-5 at the end of the season. Would you be happy with that?
Yeah, I will.
And I think that's the ultimate thing. Like, they are far and way above what any of us thought. And I know there's some people running around lying right now saying, well, I knew this all the while. No, you didn't.
Lying.
Nobody knew it. But I'm satisfied how they've been, but I want more now. That's why I don't want them to just be satisfied to be where they are. I want them to kick down the damn door and move farther.
Yeah, Dan, I want to correct you on one minor point. Dan Quinn said we're not rebuilding, we're recalibrating.
That's true.
Okay.
That's
true.
true.
It was Adam Peters, one of the two of those
Whatever
guys.
it was, based on what we've seen and what we saw was on the team after the season ended last year, that was a rebuild.
Yeah. And also,
you brought 30-something new players in, that's a damn rebuild.
This season should remind everybody that if you ever hear a coach tell you that it takes 4 or 5 years to rebuild a franchise, you should immediately stop listening to what that coach has.
Tell him, hey, coach, stop. You're lying.
Yeah.
Honestly, one of the things, like, in football, you got to rely. What can you rely on? What is their play with 4th and 2, right? Like, having Jaden is what they can rely on. They run that QB counter. That's what they can rely on. The other thing I keep thinking about, and I pointed this out to Brian earlier, obviously they have the 2 Pro Bowl starters in Jaden and Terry McLaurin. Then they had 11 other players get some Pro Bowl nomination, whether it's, first alternate to fifth alternate. They had guys get those accolades. Of those 13 players that got Pro Bowl honors, 10 of them are new this year. And I just think having Adam Peters run this operation is
Can I ask you a question?
So damn different than anything we've been accustomed
to. How many
to.
we had last year?
I think 0.
Okay. Enough said.
I mean,
Rebuild.
Terry's made it. Duran's made it. John's made it. Tress has made it. Revo made it.
Rebuild.
But the other part of the guys that have made it during the Rivera era, they were all Gruden picks. The whole in personnel from those 4 years is pretty damn astounding.
And let me give a shout out to Tress Way too, because Tress he's like the forgotten man on this team right now because we're not punting nearly as much as we have in the past. His punt against the Falcons, where he boomed that was like a 60-yarder, I think it was in the fourth quarter. That swung the field position. That was massive. So let's not forget about Tress Way. Still as consistent as ever.
Oh, hell yeah. And Revo too. Tress, PFT, I did want to ask you something here that Landfill just brought to mind. Did you happen to see any of the photos of Brian Mitchell wearing the tutu because the Skins won 11 games?
Landfill, that was supposed to be over with.
Yeah, I did see that, BMitch. It suited you. That's not your first time wearing a tutu, is it? I could tell.
That was my first time and my last. Why is it still landing here? I thought Steve was supposed to pick this up.
No, now it's part of the decor in here.
That's some.
I have said I'll wear it. PFT, I'll say this for you too. Not even if they win it, but should they get to the Super Bowl this year?
If they get to the Super Bowl, it's a lot of things we might do.
Bro, I will wear just the tutu. Like BMitch put the tutu on over his clothes. I will wear just the tutu.
JP, to be honest with you,
and no drawers either.
Nobody,
so we'll see where the W
nobody
lands.
wants to see that.
Somebody does.
Yeah.
A lot of freaks out there.
No. Listen, if they win the Super Bowl, I'll wear a tutu for a year, nonstop. It'll be great.
Hey, you and a lot of other people.
Yeah, I mean, if they win the Super Bowl, all bets are off. But whatever, we'll see what happens. PFT, man, we always appreciate you making time for us. Who you got winning college football natty?
Ooh, you know what? I think I got to go with Ohio State. I think that's the way
they look good, man.
Yesterday, it was like unstoppable. That offense, it's going to be tough for anybody to step in there and slow them down at all. I would like to see Penn State win it. I feel like that would be the funniest outcome would be Penn State over Ohio State in the national championship. I think that would be just shocking to see like Ryan Day lose a big game to the guy that can't win a big game. So that's for the storylines. I think that's the funniest way to go. But I think if they can play even 80% of how they played earlier this week, I feel like Ohio State is going to be just about impossible to beat.
Ohio State looks.
They look good, man.
They finally have delivered on the. Oh my God, this might be the most talented team in college football that we heard for a couple months. They're finally playing. This Ohio State team reminds me of that Cardale Jones team that just got super hot late and rolled everybody.
Yeah. What about I guess Notre Dame against Ohio State in the national championship? That would be the ultimate Ryan Day versus Lou Holtz showdown, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I feel like we've been
Notre
building
Dame
up
looks
to that
really
for
good
2 years.
too. And I feel like they're kind of under the radar. Riley Leonard, man, like they play physical football.
Yep. They do that.
They do. I don't know that they can outscore Ohio State.
Yeah.
The offense doesn't look explosive enough. They can try to kill the clock and make it a rock fight, but I don't see. Maybe it could happen. You never know. But yeah, I got Ohio State.
I went to the Caps game last night. They lost to the Wild, but what they've done to rebuild that team on the fly and still have Ovi, my cap is off to the Caps right now. They're playing awesome.
They are pucking.
They are pucking.
Yeah, and I went to go see them in Chicago when they played against the Blackhawks, and then I saw the Blackhawks at the Winter Classic on New Year's Eve. I have no idea how we lost to this team. The Winter Classic, it was a depressing place to be because it was like 26 degrees, rainy, snowy. You couldn't really see much of the ice because it's in a baseball stadium, so you can't see over the boards. And then all the Blackhawks fans all around me, it was so bad that they were getting into fights with each other. It was guys that were yelling about why the team stunk, and then other guys that disagreed and thought that they stunk because of other reasons. they were fighting each other. It was a depressing place to be. So it makes me thankful that the Caps are once again somehow competitive. So looking forward to maybe seeing a little playoff action from them this year.
All right, next week we'll have to talk about Ron getting the Jets job, but we'll save that for another day.
Maybe the Bears. You never know. Never know.
Big Cat would. I have called that because it's the 40-year anniversary of the '85 Bears, and Ron played on it. I called that 2 years ago, sitting in Ashburn, that I bet Ron gets that job. For Big Cat's sake, I hope it doesn't happen.
I hope it doesn't for his sake too. Ron Rivera, very nice guy, but it does feel like the most Bears hire of all time, right? If you look at their history of coaches, the type of personalities they like to hire, I feel that seems like they're going to have a hard time letting Ron Rivera out of that building.
I agree.
We'll see.
PFT, thank you for the time, brother. Appreciate it.
All right, brother.
All right, have a great weekend, guys.
Take care, man.